Gio Savarese, thank you so much for joining me here. And obviously, in this virtual reality that we have where we're not able to communicate face to face due to the issues with this coronavirus. But thank you so much for joining us. And really curious just to see your livelihood as a coach is built around being around the players, being around your other coaching staff, being around people. How difficult has this been, not being a part of that reality, that environment anymore?
Yeah. So first of all, it's a pleasure, Nat, to talk to you and have this conversation. And I have to just make sure that I mention that our hearts and minds and prayers are with all of those that have been affected by this virus. So the reality is, we used to being with players constantly. That's our job, being on the facility, practicing, and preparing for games. So these, are unprecedented times and have challenged us to a different level that we haven't been prepared before. So there's many things that we're doing differently, but we're trying to be creative. We're trying to figure ways to still be active and utilize the time in the best possible way, to connect with players, to make sure that their physical, mental, health is well, not only for them as well as the entire family. I have to say that the players have been amazing in following the guidelines that we have given them, following the workouts that we have given them. We have periodicals talk with the players individually. I have some coaches calling. I call the players. We have also some sessions, soccer talks. We're going to have one today as well at 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. So we analyze different areas, that we need to improve, and we have a very interactive communication. But definitely not being with the players constantly is a challenge, and is very, very strange for us coaches.
Well, and you've been around the game as both a professional and as a coach for a long, long time. Have you ever seen anything like this in world soccer, where there's been this kind of a shutdown or just kind of a delay in any league, anything that's even remotely similar?
No, I never experienced something like this. I don't know who has experienced anything like this, from our generation. And it's definitely a moment that, is challenges in so many different ways that we haven't been challenged before. When have you seen, Olympics being pushed to another year? Maybe you can go far back to World War II, or even before that, with some other wars and other situations with health that also happened during those years in the past, but we haven't lived those things, and for us is very, very strange. So we cannot compare with anything else. It is, seeing how all the sports have shut down. We saw today also, tennis made an announcement today that Wimbledon will not be happening.
Right.
So it is very, very strange to live, at this moment, because we never experienced this. But we have to do the best that we can from our part in order to help as well.
Well, and you've got a unique perspective. We were just talking earlier with the places you've lived and with your background, right? You've lived in New York, which is ground zero for the coronavirus right now. You lived in Venezuela. You've got family in Italy right now. How's everybody doing, first and foremost, and what have you heard?
It's been, first of all, thank God that everybody's is well. All my family, all my friends that I've spoken to, thank God no one has been affected to it, or infected by the virus. So that's been very positive. There's been different things there that we had to see or hear from them, that it challenged them, like either someone that lived close by had the coronavirus, and they had to figure out how to leave their home, and I have also cousins in Bologna that are police men and women, and they also had some challenges. I have doctors also, family members that are trying to handle the situation a different way. But given the perspective of Italy, Venezuela, New York, as you mentioned, some friends in Spain, family in Germany, friends in England. I seen like how it's been coming on a wave, like starting in China, then going into Italy, then going to Spain, seeing some things similar that I heard a few weeks ago in Italy, happening now in New York. So it's incredible. And in Venezuela, it's a different reality because there's the classes that are being affected in a different way. The poor neighborhoods, I mean, they have to live day to day. It's not that you can say just stay home. So they have to go outside. They have to go in the streets. They have to continue, their life, because otherwise they die at home because they need to make money. They need to survive. So you see that as well, and it's incredible, that how they have to handle that situation as well. So it's giving me a perspective from all angles that it is really unprecedented times.
Yeah, it's a sobering reality, and you talk about folks, here as well, part of our gig economy who don't have, a lot, to choose from in terms of benefits, and now what do they do to survive? They have to work to live, and it just seems like there's just so much pain, going around for this thing. I'm curious, shifting gears to the Timbers, how are you able to, maintain connections to the players, and also how are you able to make sure that they're following fitness plans and they're staying fit, and then on the mental side, like I'm just curious, like as a coach, how do you make sure they're in the right mental state, because that's obviously your job is to make sure that they're mentally ready when you don't know, you have no clue what's next with this thing.
It is incredible. It's difficult to be able to handle everything and try, to manage everything from every aspect. But what I can tell you is that starting from MLS, the communication to every different level in our club has been fantastic. We had recent, a conversation, a meeting, conference call with some coaches, some, people from MLS, Gavin as well, part of it. And talking about what would be the first step, whenever we have to initiate, what would be the first step, start thinking about that, making sure that everybody also is putting their thoughts, their creativity to handle the situation the best possible way. As a club, I have to say our players have been fantastic. The organization merit, from top has been phenomenal. Our players have been disciplined to, receive the communication from us to say, first of all, stay in market, stay in here, make sure that no one, gets on a plane and goes somewhere else. Everybody has done that. So that has been the advice from us, and everybody has, has followed that. We have sent 2 apps, to other players, and through those 2 apps, one, we get constant communication. Every single day, we know if they have any symptoms, if they're bored, if they are anything they can write, just to make sure that we keep hearing from them on a constant basis. Also, the doctors are part of that app as well, so we are constantly, monitoring the players. Physically, also, they have a workout app that our strength conditioning coach Nick has sent to them to make sure that they follow, through those workouts, individualized to each player, and they have to send back that information as well to everybody. Besides all that, we have delivered bikes to make sure that they can execute some of the workouts. Every day, they receive meals cooked by our chef. Everybody just, make sure to take the meals to their houses. The way they have to be protected, the way they can stay in their house, and they don't have to, go outside to the supermarket. Yeah, occasionally they can go, but there's protocols that we have given them to make sure that they follow. And besides all that, we also have coaches, myself, calling them on a constant basis, just to talk to them, just to make sure that we can hear, are you okay? Because remember, there's some that have the family, some are by themselves as well. When you're by yourself on a constant basis, it becomes very difficult. So we try to make sure that we're creative. And also, we have these conversations that I mentioned before, in which we send them a video of a particular, a specific thing that we want to work on, and we analyze it. We get 2 groups, and we start talking, and we hear from them. What do you think here? Where do you think that you should be? And we have a very interactive conversation that has been very good. Besides that, the coaching staff is trying to be creative as well. Yesterday we had, a connection with a fitness coach from Italy, a friend of mine, that communicated to, our strength conditioning group how he does with his players to make sure that he monitors them from their house when they are in a different city. So we're trying to see technology that we can use also to be better. So we trying everything that we can, and there's other things also that we are doing, but we couldn't do this with the desire to try to be better from the players, from the desire from the coaching staff, everyone in the organization, in the team organization, to do more. And it's been challenging, but everybody's been amazing at this time in the way they have conducted themselves.
Yeah, we've seen some of those things, on social media. Players showing that they've got their workout bikes, their workout equipment, meals getting delivered to them, and then obviously having those two apps. The technology is great these days. You imagine 10 years ago, would you be able to do something like this at this level? Sounds like you guys are on top of it. Yeah, Gio, I know how passionate you are about the game of soccer, and you're always listening to podcasts, you're watching games, you're just talking about games, and always seeing it so much. How difficult has it been not to have it, and how are you filling that void now in your life about, not being able to watch soccer?
So it's very strange. It's very strange because I'm used to waking up very early on Saturday morning and watch the Premiership and wait right after for another either MLS game or Serie A. And so soccer is always constant, in my life, and I'm always watching every game that I can. So it's very strange not to wake up on that. But on another token, there's so many games that I can go back and watch. So that's what I've been doing. I've been going and analyzing first our team, not only this year, last year, previous years as well, just to continue to watch what we can do better. Watch all the clubs, all the teams, all the games as well. Watching interviews from coaches, connecting with people from soccer as well, and interacting with them, if he's in the fitness side, if he's, coaching players, just to make sure that I can stay constantly, studying the game, making sure that I can see more and the things that we can improve, that I can bring into our team as well. And besides that, is preparing to when we start training. Is preparing how we're going to look like, how we're going to initiate, the practices, what type of practice we're going to have. So we are ahead and try to think all over, to make sure that we can learn as much, take advantage of this time, make it worth, as soon as we go back, this is no time wasted, and that we can utilize it to be a better team and to influence the team in a better way. So that's what I've been doing. But I miss my games on Saturday morning for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And as do we all. We all miss the game of soccer right now in our lives. I want to finish up with something that we can have fun with here, along the lines of reflecting a little bit, because we don't have that live soccer to go to. So there's been a lot of archive games from MLS and from the Timbers, and it's been kind of fun to watch, a lot of those games and kind of remember some of those players in those moments. I want to play a game with you. It's called Nat's 442.
Okay.
And so it's going to be 4 questions about your favorites, 4 questions that are more reflective, 2 that are going to be maybe a little more difficult, and then a bonus question for you at the end. We can't be that goalkeeper. So are you ready to go?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. So favorites. As you look back, is there a favorite game that you've coached so far in your coaching career?
Well, for me, every game is very special, very, very special. But I will have to say I put the same level of care and passion to every single game. So besides, if there are some that are a little more exciting than others, the level of passion for me has been the same. So when I go, from the morning, I'm excited. So it's difficult for me to say, but I must say the game Portland against Seattle in the semifinal 2018 was a pretty good game for sure.
Yeah, it was a pretty good game to call from our standpoint too. Now, how about take your coaching hat off for a second, put your player cap on. Is there a favorite goal that you scored in your playing career that you most remember, an important goal?
So I will divide it in 3 areas. That question. One is just national team.
Yep.
And national team for me was the goal that I scored against Bolivia at home that gave us our first victory in the qualifiers at home. Was incredible. And one against Argentina, also at home, But unfortunately, that one we ended up losing 5-2, even though that was the 1-0 first. But it was it's still very special.
You were still winning for a brief moment, right?
Exactly. The emotions were incredible.
Yeah.
Then I will say for sure, when I was in the Metro Stars, every goal was incredible. But I feel that one that stayed very special. It was my bicycle kick goal against Tampa Bay that first year in the season, and for me it's very special because that was a first win. So it was my first MLS win. So it stayed in my mind not only because of how I feel the quality of the goal, but also how important it was. And for me, that's one that I always remember.
That's great. How about if you look back in your career as a player, was there a favorite game to play, where it's like maybe it's back and forth, it's just a lot of fun, or maybe it's an important game? When you look, let's just stay with MLS here. Is there anything in MLS you remember that was just like a favorite game?
There were many good games, but I remember the rivalry between Metro Stars and DC United. It was incredible, and there were some very good games back and forth, as you said. Very heated. Those games had something special, something different. Every derby is like a Portland Seattle game, and for us, those games were definitely at a high level. And we always talk, we say if we would have beat you, DC United, you wouldn't have had so many championships, but they did, unfortunately, and they were able to get those championships. But they were amazing games for sure.
And what about, is there a favorite game as you look back as a younger player, maybe to watch, or as a coach, or even as a professional, where you're watching a high level game and you just remember the goals, maybe from the World Cup, just a high level game that that just really sticks out in your mind, that was one of your favorites?
Yeah, there are many, but because I keep on saying the same thing. It sounds already repetitive, but I watch so many games and I feel so passionate to it. But if I have to go to one that I really, really feel very, very special because of the, how that game was, when I watched it in Venezuela, it was Italy-Brazil 1982. That was unbelievable, an amazing game. Brazil, that probably people were saying that was the best team ever, which I don't know, because the 1970, national team was pretty good from Brazil. But that Italian team being able to win 3-2, I think it was 4-2, because they didn't give Antonioni a goal, 4-2, that I think it was an offside. But incredible match, and that was definitely a special day.
I go back in my memory banks to 1994 World Cup, Netherlands against Brazil. I believe it was the quarterfinals of the World Cup. And I think about a player you probably played with, Branco,
yes,
who scored a game winner on a free kick. Those types of games they're special. You think back to them, and I actually
watched that goal yesterday.
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, what an
incredible goal!
What a goal! If you were not a professional soccer coach, what would you be?
That's an interesting question, because since I've been a little kid, I always had the desire to be part of soccer, as a player, as a coach. Anything involved. I've done so many things in soccer, commentating. But, sometimes I think, that maybe an architect is an area that I like to design. I like to, write things, and maybe it's an area that I could have pursue. And I enjoy seeing the structures, houses, buildings. So maybe that would have been my other area.
Interesting. Yeah. Creating as well in a different way. What about my next question for you? We're in the midfield four here. What is the best way to start the day?
I think it's waking up early. I'm a firm believer that waking up early, it gives you a different mood. It gives you the chance to be able to start, before everybody else. A good shower, be ready for the day. That's the best way, with a good breakfast. And everything prepared, organized for the day. I think that's the best way to start.
Love it. And what is the most interesting place you've visited?
I've been lucky in my life to be in so many different places. Florence is an incredible city. Florence is not only because of the type of city, but the history behind the city has so many tales, and every time you hear from someone else something different that makes it even more interesting. Florence is an amazing city, but then, when you go to South America, there's so many great places. I've been in Brazil, almost in every country. And then when you go around the United States, I mean, one place better than the other. So, but I would have to say Florence. If I have to pick one right now, it is an amazing city for sure.
And last question in the 4, who inspires you to be better?
I think first myself, my family, what I have learned from my parents, my grandparents, the fact that I always look at people that I can learn from everyone. As one coach told me one day, you can learn a lot from people, what to do, but even more what not to do. And I constantly, I think I learn from people. And I think also from reading history, because I think history also repeats itself. So I think you're constantly learning in life. And if you don't believe that and you think that you have arrived already, then you miss a lot of things.
Love that mentality. All right, we got 3 more. One's quick, 2, we'll see. We'll go through real quick for you. If you could turn any activity into an Olympic sport, what would it be?
So my skills on an Olympic sport?
I would say more like if there's something that if you do really well that you could turn into an Olympic sport.
Okay, so when I was younger, I did a little bit of jumping, high jump and long jump.
Really?
And I really think no Olympics because Olympics is the best.
Yeah.
But that might be one thing. If I understood the question correctly.
Yes, you did. You got it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting. So you can you still jump pretty high, or is that just a?
I'm getting a little older now. I can still get a little jump, but that was definitely one of my qualities that helped me also in soccer as well. So I could jump, and I think if it was one thing that I could do, not at an Olympic level, but that I can compete, was for sure jumping.
And is there a skill that you maybe don't have now that you would most want to master?
That I don't have now that I could, yes, speak other languages. But that, I already do a little bit. So let me see something a little more challenging.
There's 4 languages, so you got that one.
Yes, 4 languages. So let me think. That's a good question. Something that I would like to have to improve more. There's so many areas. There's so many areas I think that I can still be better. But I can think of one right now that I can say, I need more than others.
Right.
Maybe I will say one. Yes,
okay.
It came to my mind quickly.
Okay.
It is, how you have those people that they have unbelievable fast reading, that they go through book like this, breakfast.
Yeah.
Maybe that would have been, if I had that skill, that would be one that I would like to master right now.
I agree. The quicker way to get knowledge in, right? To breathe it all in.
Correct.
All right. Last question for you, Gio, before we let you go. Do you have an all-time favorite striker? I know it's going to be hard because you've had so much experience and you've obviously played the game as a striker. But I'm just curious: is there a number 1 in your book, or at least a top 3?
So I have a number 1, which is the one that I follow because I think he had similar characteristics as me, and I looked at him to learn more and to follow, and he became a little bit like my player to go to, which was Gianluca Vialli from Juventus, from Italy. I follow him. But then when you have to say favorite strikers, wow, I will go back to my time playing, and I have to say Van Basten, Romario, Ronaldo. I mean, the things that you see from those players, it is incredible. And for me, they are definitely some of the top goal scorers in the history of the game.
Yeah,
and Raul as well. I had the fortune to coach, one of them, which was Raul as well. And I can say that the things that I saw him do in practice at his older age already, his mind, his soccer knowledge was incredible.
Yeah, And to that, it's amazing you've been able to coach some of these players and obviously see some of these players become world-class players. Pretty incredible stuff. Gio, really thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Is there anything that you would like to say to the Timbers fans out there who are sitting at home watching this interview?
Yeah, first of all, that continue to do your part to make sure that we are able to come out in the best possible way from this difficult time. Stay connected with us. We miss you. We can wait to see you again. And especially, I hope that this time hasn't affected you. And if it has, our prayers and thoughts and our hearts are with you for sure.
Gio Savarese, thank you so much for your time, Gio. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
You too.